Welcome to Insight and Influence, a podcast presented by C&G Strategies, bringing you insightful conversations from influential people, including government officials, industry leaders, and advocates from across the state.
Well, thank you for joining me today for this episode of Insight and Influence. With me today is Don Keezer of the Pittsburgh Film Office and Mamie Stein of the local IATSE union. Thank you, ladies, for joining me.
Well, we're thrilled to be here.
Hello.
We're in the midst of the budget season right now, which has extended far beyond the end of June. And so perhaps by the time this actually airs in a few weeks, it will actually be resolved. I doubt it somehow. But how about we come back to the issue of the state budget and how it impacts the film office and the unions in a second. And talk a little bit about, Don, could you tell us a little bit about the Pittsburgh Film Office, how long it's been around and what you do?
Thank you, Amy. We're thrilled to be here today. I'm Don Keezer, Executive Director of the Pittsburgh Film Office. We started in 1990. Since that time, there's been 250 plus film and TV projects, bringing with it $2.5 billion of new money to this region's economy. And we have over 5,000 people that work and live in southwestern Pennsylvania that rely on this industry for some or all of their income. So it's been a great benefit, a great industry for southwestern PA. We're an economic development agency. People think we're really into arts and movies, and we like arts and movies, but at the end of the day, this is about jobs. And the most important part of what we do is our partnerships with the union. So Mamie and I talk almost daily, but IATSE 489 has quadrupled their membership, and it's one of the driving forces beyond the tax credit of why anyone ever films here.
And Mamie, you want to talk a little bit about the union and your involvement and what you do on movie sets?
Absolutely.
And film and other productions.
Other productions.
Sorry.
There will be a quiz at the end. I am with IATSE 489, and that's the International Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees, Studio Mechanics Local 489. We're the film people in Pittsburgh.
Thank God you knew that.
Not yet. There'll be a quiz. Not to be confused with IATSE Local 3, which is our terrific stage people. They also handle things like Star Lake and all that. And then we have IATSE 600, which is our camera people. And we have IATSE, 798, 161, USA 129. There's a number of us all within the IATSE umbrella working and paying taxes and buying houses and existing here in the region and across the state. But we represent probably the largest group of those workers. There's approximately 600, and like Don said, we really grew our membership up, particularly when the tax credit really started working and growing, and that's when we saw a huge difference. And you can see this massive jump over a couple years, and a lot of it was served through training programs that we created initially with a program called Real Works out of New York, but now out of our homegrown Create PA program, which has allowed us to give interested employees a path to membership and basically what you need to walk on set the first day. So we're really excited about that. But the tax credit has allowed us to grow that. So we are IATSE 49. I'm the president of the union.
Appreciate that.
But I'm also a working member. I'm an on-set dresser, but I just finished up Hershey.
Just finished working on Hershey, our period independent movie that
Filmed in
was
Pittsburgh.
somewhat sponsored by the Hershey Company. And they filmed here in southwestern PA because, we can still look like the 1800s pretty easily. But they needed a large crew base to pull that off. And
it's a perfect transition. Let's talk a little bit about the work that's gone on here in the Pittsburgh region, not just Allegheny County, but beyond that over the last few months and sort of what's upcoming as well.
Well, thankfully, we're one of the busiest places in the country. And we're saying this a couple weeks into the future, right? But we had 5 shows working when most of the country hasn't been working at all. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is really based on the relationships we've created with the people who've been here before, the reputation of our union crew, and, of course, our robust film tax credit program. I bring it up a lot. I sound like a broken record. But at the end of the day, without the incentive, there is no work. So that's always the important first step. So we had incentives, so we had work. Mayor of Kingstown just wrapped their season 4. That's the Paramount Plus show that stars Jeremy Renner. It's part of the Taylor Sheridan universe, and we're really hopeful to see them back for a season 5.
That's fantastic.
We had a show called Prison Break, which is a pilot for Hulu. They were filming down in Moundsville, and you're like, well, that's West Virginia. But we're counting it because it was the bulk of our crew, our talent, and we helped them make all that happen. Because it's part of our world, too, even though it's a little bit outside of Pennsylvania. But they were here. Hershey, that we mentioned, was an independent film that was filming. Currently filming right this second today is Amazon, How to Rob a Bank. And by the time this airs, they still should be filming. And then they're going to be wrapping. And then our brand new TV series is called Parallax. And it's for A&E. It will air on Apple. And they start filming late July. And they'll be here through the end of the year. So in the perfect world, Parallax is going to film until December, and then Mayor of Kingstown comes back in January, and they'll keep working on this 6-month schedule. And I had a meeting with them and told them my plan, and then I told Mayor of Kingstown my plan. So in the perfect world, they're going to listen, and we'll just keep those two shows going year round.
Because Dawn Keezer runs everything here.
I run the world.
Listen to her the world automatically.
But, part of this is we're really fortunate. We have legislators that really believe in this industry. We have local elected officials that have supported it and make it easy to film here. And all those things work together to keep this work coming in. For us to have 5 shows in southwestern Pennsylvania, literally in a 4-month span of time, was incredible. And we're very grateful. In 2024, we were looking at nothing, as is most of the country. Other than Georgia, Georgia's down 50%, New York's down 30%. The construction in the industry, plus all the strikes and the after effects of the strikes and the after effects of COVID, have really led to where we are right now. And we're holding our own, especially in southwestern PA. But it's because of the tax credits, the crew, and the working relationships we have with the elected officials throughout southwestern Pennsylvania that allow everyone to get their work done.
So if I go through my craziness and all of my memories of some of the films I have shot here, people are really excited when they hear Jason Momoa is in town, or Jeremy Renner is in town, or Vin Diesel is here, or Christian Bale, or I told you I could literally go through them. We can go really far back and do Bruce Willis, right? So I
wasn't here.
Well, you were also like 6 when you started at the
It's true. I was 5.
So,
I was 5 for those who keep track. 30 years later.
But people are really excited about the idea they might get the chance to see some star here, but really the impact of having films in this region goes far beyond that. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the impact or businesses or other organizations that were impacted by some of the recent shoots here and what that meant for those local businesses?
Well, the big ones are the hotels, the car rentals, and then it's really the crew. The crew is one of the largest expenses, and they love coming to southwestern Pennsylvania because they can hire people like Mamie and her union members because they're experienced, they're talented, they're award-winning and award-nominated individuals. These are your friends and neighbors. Yes, we all get excited when Jason Momoa shows up. Like, I get chills talking about him, and I never even got to meet him. But we were thrilled he was here. It's fun to see them. That's the exciting part. But really, at the end of the day, this is work. These are jobs. These are family-sustaining jobs that allow people to live here, allow people to send their kids to school, allow them to buy their kids shoes when they need them, and buy the groceries. And that's why it's so important that we all continue to work together. And, Mamie, talk about, you've got over 600 members, but talk about what they do, right? Painters, carpenters, who are they? What do they do?
So 489 is grips, electrics, paint, carpenters, set dressers, props, medics. You wouldn't think. Teachers. We do, oh my God, I'm missing stuff. Sound. Video.
Costume.
There's 13. Who am I missing? Greens, construction,
Do we get
costumes. Yeah. Anyway, but it's a lot.
Let's segue for a second, because we keep bringing up costumes, and we also just talked about awards.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for that. There's really exciting news this week. Go ahead and tell us.
Right. So Pittsburgh, our Pittsburgh crew is we proudly represent several Emmy nominees, and we got exciting news yesterday that Eileen Stroop, who's one of our longtime costumers with a wonderful career, got her second Emmy nomination for White Lotus. She was the costume supervisor in Thailand. Which is so exciting. But yeah, she's been doing that for some time, and she got recognition again this round for her work on that. So we're thrilled, and congratulations, Eileen.
That'll make us transition for you too. Yeah. It doesn't say the Oscars, but we always celebrate awards and the recognition that not just the films but the people behind the scenes make. And so the big event for the film office for the last few years has been actually, how many years now? Is it 20?
It's 20. We just
25.
celebrated the 25th anniversary
know
of
this better.
lights, glamour, action. And look, let's be honest. I can keep track because it was the year 2000 when then County Executive Jim Roddy, may he rest in peace, took our funding to build the convention center and the stadiums. So we had to figure out a way to stay open. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we throw a big party on the night before Oscar night. Used to be on Oscar night, and it's open to the public, and everyone can join us. And I believe it's March 8th, 2026. Check our website; it's there. And
the website is
PGH Film FILM.org. So
Perfect.
it's
It
very
is
easy.
so much fun, and Jeremy Renner stayed the entire evening and partied with everybody this year.
And my guess is
It was
they'll
a
want to come back
delight.
if they're in town because they had such a great time. But let's go back to the Emmys for a
Yes.
second because the Pit, which is set in Pittsburgh, is based around Allegheny General Hospital's emergency room. They filmed here for a total of 4 days first season. I think we're going to get 6 to 8 days for the second season. They are coming back for that. They got 13 Emmy nominations.
That's fantastic.
I believe they're behind. The Bear is who they're behind. So it gives everybody somebody to root for. But, we're going to count it even though they don't film here that much. And when people ask about that,
say, why not?
Why aren't they here? That one, 95% of it takes place on a sound stage, on a set that was built for that show. And I mean, Mamie can speak to set building way better than I can, but that's a pretty big set piece, and it's technical, and it's, it's that hospital with all the cool stuff in it.
And it's something, it's something we 100% could do here without a.
We could do it, but they're pretty happy in their LA homes,
they're happy in
sleeping
their
in their
home,
own beds on the Warner Brothers lot.
Fair.
So
Well,
that's why they're there.
And Noah Wiley, the star, obviously has Pittsburgh roots as well. His family, his parents are both from here. They met here, and so he has.
I think it's so
Pittsburgh
funny.
roots
None
and
of us
has
knew
fun.
that though till this show.
Till the show.
Like, how was that such a secret? Because he was on ER,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So people there should have been some pickup on that.
There
But-
should have been.
But what's nice is there was an article that just came out recently that AGH looked at how their emergency room was being portrayed
I saw
on
that.
national television, and they've decided to spend money to upgrade their facility because of how it's portrayed in the show.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
We're going to take credit for the impact of that as
That's
well, right?
huge.
So we fixed the hospital. You're welcome. We're employing people. It's just like we're better than Mr. Rogers.
Better than Mr. Rogers.
No, we're being nice to everybody.
So let me go back to what
She's going to edit that out.
I'm going to take.
have a heart attack.
I'm not going to edit that out. It's funny. I actually I was walking downtown the other day and saw the restaurant the Chinese restaurant that is used in Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood.
Beautiful Day in the
Beautiful Day in the
Neighborhood.
Neighborhood. Thank you.
Yes.
I should know. It's the Mr. Rogers film. And so, but even just walking around Pittsburgh every day, I look at places and think, oh, hey. Went into a parking garage the other day, and the orphanage from the Batman
Dark Knight
movie
Rises.
was right across the street. So it's always interesting to me to see those things. It's also interesting, I think, I'm totally digressing here, that when you're watching a movie that people from Pittsburgh will yell, and that is not how you get there. There's no way that you could have a high-speed chase down that road in the middle of the day because
Striking
we know
Striking
what this
Distance. Everyone knows that scene from Striking Distance.
Yeah.
But look, this is
But
the
darn,
magic.
it looks good.
It's the magic of the movies.
I think
right?
it's the same in the next 30 days.
The next 3
Next
days.
3 days,
Next 3
yeah.
days.
Next
Next 3
Friday.
days.
Oh my God! I'm
You
sorry,
can see
Russell
downtown
Crowe. I'm
Pittsburgh.
really sorry, Russell Crowe.
I know, and I'm sure he's going to listen and he'd be really upset.
I would be
Look,
very
this
upset.
is the magic of the movies, and it's literally it's the boring stuff, right? But I
Right.
mean, you worked there. We would call you and say, "I need to close 10th Street Bridge and the bypass and the tunnel,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Okay, fine." I mean,
We'll figure it out.
We figure it out,
Yeah.
and thankfully, there's a couple main reasons anyone ever films here. First is the tax credit. Second is the diversity of locations. We can look like anything in the world as long as what we used to say, as long as you don't need a beach or a desert. But if you need the beach, we take you to Erie. If you need the desert, we took the Century 3 Mall and turned it into a rack for the film The Warrior.
Yeah.
So we can do some things because we have talented cast and crew. Third reason's cost. We're far less expensive than most of our competition. But the fourth reason really is the people who live here, who understand, who still welcome the movies coming, who still welcome people in their neighborhoods, who put up with the inconveniences. And yeah, there's a few complaints sometimes, especially when rush hour gets interrupted and things like that. But for the most part, the Southwestern Pennsylvania people are so welcoming to our industry and so happy when they show up that they come back.
Right.
And it's really the repeat visitors. I had a call from a producer yesterday. He was here 2 years ago. He convinced them they should be here instead of Ohio. And it's because of how he was treated while he was here.
That's fantastic.
So you can't buy that kind of stuff. You have to build those relationships. So it really is all of us in this together. The film office is sort of the driving force behind it, but we couldn't do it without everybody helping. So that's why it works.
I think oftentimes people don't think about the impact. I did not think about the impact before we really started having these conversations. Like if you're turning, say, the courthouse into what was the courthouse during the Hershey movie?
Oh, it was the Fulton Theater in Lancaster.
The Fulton Theater.
Which I need to point out that we just did the entire Hershey movie in Pittsburgh.
They did go get some plate shots in Lancaster.
They did. It was a day.
With the drone. Yeah, one
good
day.
on them.
It's fine.
But you need supplies, right?
Yeah.
You need supplies. You need ways to make and transform that. So where do you get those materials?
Oh my
How do
goodness,
you get
there's
those props?
so many fantastic businesses around Pittsburgh that are, family-owned, long-standing businesses. I just saw an invoice for Neely Canvas the other day. I almost died, so shout out to them and their beautiful work. But we spend a ton of money at local businesses because the service is better, it's more reliable, it doesn't require insane shipping costs and unreliable shipping, and so there's a lot of great businesses around town.
And it's required for the tax credit.
Right.
For them to be able to get a tax credit, they've got to purchase or rent everything from a Pennsylvania-based company. Mm-hmm. So thankfully, Mamie and several others, they go source these things, but you shop everywhere. You're at no-tell little hardware stores in the middle of nowhere of southwestern PA. You're at you guys are everywhere.
Yeah, I saw it. Rollier's Hardware. They bought a ton of stuff there for Hershey. Penwood Paints is another great one. Over in, I'm going to forget the name of it. Over in Bloomfield, there's an incredible lumber yard that's slipping my mind. Paul's Lumber. That supplied literally all of the lumber for the last couple decades. I mean, they're fantastic, and we keep them going. And we love them, and they're skilled and knowledgeable, and that's such a value.
And for each of those stories, you duplicate that in the cities that you're filming in. And it's not just Pittsburgh. I think people often think Pittsburgh, but I know that the film office recently did some work in highlighting here are the movies that have shot in the surrounding counties, and it's a substantial list. People don't always think everything happens in Pittsburgh. It doesn't.
It starts here, right?
Yeah.
And then they go out. I mean, we were just in Brownsville for Hershey, and they transformed that town, which there's not a lot going on in Brownsville. So they were able to put the dirt down on the streets to recreate the 1880s and turn all these businesses and signage and horses and wagons. They did the same thing in Ligonier, which is a busy place, Ligonier, right? But
Swifton, PA.
Swifton.
Which is the middle of nowhere. No, Smithfield.
Smithfield, PA.
Smithfield, which is right.
But we go everywhere. We're out in Washington County a lot. We're out in Fayette, Mercer, Beaver, Butler. Yeah. We've just added Venango County to our list of we just annexed them over. They're a great partner. But up there they've got a closed mental hospital that closed in March.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have a library at the film office. It's over 50,000 images. It's probably closer to 60,000 images now. I really should do the count, but we show all 10 county courthouses, right? So if you need a courthouse, we've got all 10. Yeah. But in Venango, they've got the closed Polk Institute, and they took us on a tour 2 weeks ago. And the place is on 2,800 acres. It's 90 buildings. Yes. It could look like a school. It could look like a college. It could look like all kinds of things. And it's only an hour and a half from downtown.
Huge.
So I sort of was suggesting a whole crew could go. They could stay there,
right?
And they have a theater. Like the place was truly amazing, and
it is a campus.
It's a full campus, and we're always looking for those things. We have a closed prison here, SCI Pittsburgh, which is crucially important to the continuation of Mayor of Kingstown. And soon we're going to have a closed landside terminal at the airport. And we're hoping to be able to use that as well. So, because we're going to celebrate the new one, just like we celebrated the nonstop service on American Airlines. Yes, I get paid by them now. I talk about the nonstop every day.
We appreciate the plug regardless.
Always.
So,
always. But look, one of the key things, one of the largest, it was the biggest complaint, was the lack of nonstop service. Right. And after a decade, my friends at the airport were able to finally get American Airlines to come back. Now what's super fun is they're complaining about the size of the plane and the size of first class. So I'm like, fill the plane. We'll get a bigger plane. So that's our next goal.
Third world problems.
Yeah, first world problems for real.
And what Dawn wants, Dawn gets.
It might take a minute.
No
but
worries.
Getting the nonstop back was huge. So.
We've talked a lot about the Pittsburgh Film Office, but you're not the only film office in Pennsylvania.
We're not?
I know. I'm sorry.
Are you sure?
I hate to break it to you. I know. I actually know for a fact that you have worked very hard to build a strong coalition across the state with a number of your partner film offices. So can you talk a little bit about that relationship and what that looks like?
Of course. We're really fortunate. I think there's 12 maybe statewide that are here. Look, we have 2 regional production centers, which most states are lucky to have one. If you think about Georgia, there's Atlanta, although Savannah has a film office too. If you think about Illinois, there's Chicago, New York, right? But now Buffalo's come on pretty strong. Pennsylvania, we have 12, and we work really hard to try to be communicative with them. Some of them, they're not going to be the production centers that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are, just based on population, based on when the crew lives. But it's important that you have a statewide network of places that when you start getting further out, like we did in the movie Unstoppable with Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, directed by Tony Scott, we were all the way up State College, Driftwood, PA, place I didn't even know existed. And we cobbled together all the tourist promotion agencies to help make sure we could find hotels and find the things that are in your region are in those areas. So we've worked really hard to communicate with those other film offices. And some of them are doing film festivals. Some of them are interested in workforce training. Create PA that Mamie spoke about earlier, we've graduated over 250 people at this point. And the goal with that, we named it Create PA intentionally because we expected that to be a statewide program. So people can say, oh, we're going to train some location scouts. And we're going to take them up to Venango County and we're going to let them go wild in Venango. Or, State College, PA, whatever that county is, and really try to get one in every county would be the goal. In California, there's 52 counties, and there's a film office in every single county. Just because you need someone to call if you're coming, and we want to make sure they're prepped and film ready in Pennsylvania so that we can spread them across the Commonwealth. So yeah, we get most of the work, but we're happy to share the wealth. We just, need a little help getting out there. But they're all listed on the Film in PA website, which is also where you can get all the information on how the film tax credit works, what the application is, what you have to do to apply for it, and move forward from there.
That's great. You guys both have talked a lot about the film tax credit. So let's actually talk a little more about the film tax credit, its history and sort of the current status and what you guys are hoping during this budget season as well.
More money.
That's fair. Maybe talk in a little more detail about what you're looking for.
Lots more money.
There you go. A lot of money. The film tax credit is currently budgeted at $100 million. And to all of us sitting around this table, that's an incredible amount of money. And if we had it in our pockets, we wouldn't be sitting around this table because I wouldn't be here. Had $100 million, forget it. But again, we have 2 production centers. So there's Philly and there's Pittsburgh. And we have large productions that choose southwestern Pennsylvania. So our state has not stayed competitive with the other states who are interested in this industry. At one point, there were 42 states who had some sort of incentive program. Back in the early days, why this all got started was Canada had a very strong incentive program. And basically, if you went to Toronto, the province gave you 11%, and then the country gave you 11%. So they had a 22% tax credit in Canada. And the United States had nothing. So we worked together as a country to get a federal tax credit. That fell apart after 9/11. And then the states said, okay, we're going to step up. Well, Pennsylvania was the 3rd state in. Louisiana was 1st. New Mexico was 2nd. And we were 3rd. We haven't kept pace. Georgia has an uncapped tax credit. West Virginia has an uncapped tax credit. New York just increased theirs to $800 million. Pennsylvania has $100 million, and we haven't increased it. How it works, the simple version is for every dollar they spend, we give them a 25-cent tax credit. That's the easy version. The rules in place encourage them to hire local and make them buy local. So everything rented or purchased has to be from a Pennsylvania-based company. Additionally, no one gets their tax credit until they've gone through a full audit. So we know exactly where they spend every dime. And once that's all done, approved by 2 departments of the state, both DCD and the Department of Revenue, then they get a tax credit certificate. So as a Pennsylvania taxpayer, as we all are around this table, we're getting a great return on our investment. In southwestern PA, we return about $150 million every year on average. 2021 was a record-breaking year with 11 shows and $330 million in economic impact. These are real numbers. These aren't multipliers. This is exactly what's on these finished financial statements. So that's the credit. We have bipartisan support on both sides, the Republicans and Democrats. The unions, we go out, we meet with all the legislators. IATSEs are one big union. The Teamsters are another. That's Local 249. They come in. They can show you payroll records. We had over 100 Teamsters make over $100,000 each, based on payroll. So the legislators sit with us and they nod their heads and they get it, but there's a lot of priorities in the state. And given what's happening with the federal budgets right now, I don't expect to see an increase this year. It would be a nice addition, but ideally what we need to be is at $300 million. And that would keep us sort of safe. Texas just went to $150 million per year, but they guaranteed it for the next decade. And we in Pennsylvania keep having to have it repromised every single year. And that makes people question if they can really safely come here and film, especially with large TV series like Mayor of Kingstown and Parallax, right? People are having to look at those things. But the tax credits have changed the world for the IA. I mean, they can count on continuous employment now.
There's a lot of people, I think, that look at that and think, well, why are we giving money to filmmakers? They make a lot of money. They're paying millions of dollars to stars and everything else. But that's not really the impact of the tax credit. The impact of the tax credit is really on employees like you and others who work in that industry.
It's on our life. I mean, to give you an idea, like just 489, the history of 489, because IATSE's been around since before movies, but 489. We started out around Hoffa, which always makes me giggle, but our union was born around then, and here in Pittsburgh, and we cover a 60-mile radius around City Hall over here. That, in the grand scheme of things, is not large, but the impact we have on the number of people. We have a huge union for an area that size, and we keep them all working, and that wasn't always the case. In the beginning, generally speaking, you would work maybe a movie a year, and then you'd have to find, so a lot of people did theater, a lot of people did events and stuff, and you'd have another side hustle, and this went on for years. And when the tax credit took hold, all of a sudden it went from working once a year to working almost year round. At the time, it would get you about 3/4 of the year if you were working. And when I first got in, I think we had maybe 125 people in the union. And now, in the time I've been here, which is a little over 20 years now, it's grown to 600. And we have people retiring, and because we have incredible retirement, and we have pension annuity, medical benefits, and everything. So that has massively changed people's lives. People are able to vest in their benefits and have a future. And it's something that was never possible before the tax credit. And now we're not only thriving, but we're insanely competitive. And like Dawn said, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this because I was on a call yesterday with other presidents around the country and Canada, and we're doing really well thanks to a lot of the work that Dawn's done and CNG Strategies has done for us, and our legislators.
I'll pay you later.
Yeah, no, but truly, we're so grateful to you guys to get the word out, because as a Pennsylvanian, I believe so much in the impact this program has, because I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen my communities and my neighbors, and I can't tell you how much I love Brownsville now. I can't believe, it sounds crazy, but what a delightful community and a bunch of people there, and what they've been through over the years. It is sad, and to have been able to bring that and see what they're doing there. And, everybody should go up and check out their history center, and they have a movie tour. You stop by the library, they'll tell you all about it. It's, but to be able to go into the communities that I love in my home state, and my family has been here since before the Revolutionary War. I am vested here, but to see what it does, I believe in it. I really do believe it works, and I'm so grateful that we do have people that can see that and people that get the word out. So yeah, it is huge. It's, we're able to buy houses. We're able to,
put your kids through college.
Put my kids, yeah. I was able to have a kid. I mean, that's, in this day and age, that's a harsh reality to buy a house and to have a child. And we have people, in their 20s that are, able to do this because of the work it's provided. And we've had a rocky, since COVID, there's been a little work, but we're settling in, and it's good. So.
But there's a return on investment with this tax credit that doesn't always follow some of the other expenses on the state ledger, and it doesn't always reflect exactly what's happening. But this is all money we wouldn't have had.
Right.
So when they come and spend $1 and we give them $0.25 back after they've done all the things and jumped through all the hoops, they've left 75 cents here in Pennsylvania. So it's not like we're just handing out money. And we're also not handing out money to talent. This is not the Tom Cruise tax credit, because he was here too. It's really the Mamie Stein tax credit and, the film office and other, vendors, Paul's Lumber, everybody who's getting paid. This is driving that work, and it's driving that work to Southwestern PA that wouldn't be here otherwise.
I always find that the thing that people misunderstand the most is how the tax credit works, which really is that they have to do everything on their end. They have to invest. They have to make the decision to be here. They have to pay everything. They have to be sort of everything tied up in a bow, gone, done. And then we take a look and say...
And file their Pennsylvania taxes before they ever get it.
And then say, oh, yeah, yes, you met all the criteria, and now here's your tax credit. Here, now, finally, we're giving it to you. So we're really not handing money to people without that first upfront investment that it well exceeds the amount of the tax credit that they're receiving.
And also, given the deficit they talk about with the state budget all the time, these funds, when they're spending money here, we promise them a tax credit. They get a letter that says, if you're going to do this, we're going to give you your tax credit. Once they're all completely done, from that point of that letter to finished, filed taxes, audit, everything, it's 18 to 24 months. So we get to use all that revenue in the state without ever paying out a dime.
Right.
And then we give them 25% back. It's such a win, and it's why all these other states jumped in. But why Pennsylvania was continued to be successful is we've been making movies and TV here since not TV in 1914, but our first film was in 1914, The Perils of Pauline. And that's really what kicked it off. 1968 was Night of the Living Dead. And that's what is credited with starting the commercial success that you see here. And then, of course, Striking Distance that we talked about, and Flashdance. And then Silence of the Lambs was 1990, which is one of two best pictures in Pennsylvania, along with Deer Hunter. But 1990 with Silence is what coincided with the start of the film office. And so all our numbers go back to that. But look, it works. It's continuing to work. And we want to do more. And to do more, we need more tax credits so we can have more work.
I was going to give you the chance to do an elevator pitch to those legislators. You talked a lot about we have bipartisan support, both and bicameral support, House and Senate, but there are still some legislators maybe that aren't sold on the idea of it. So give me your elevator pitch about why the film tax credit and why investing in this industry is important.
For Pennsylvania to remain competitive in this industry, they have to increase that incentive if they want this work. This industry is supporting 5,000 people in southwestern PA. If that includes people and businesses, I would think there's at least 5,000 throughout the rest of the state, and probably an equal amount in Philadelphia. So let's just call it a round number of 15,000 people and businesses throughout the Commonwealth that are relying on this industry to continue working, thriving, and returning money to this economy. The film tax credit is a very low, easy, hanging fruit to incentivize this industry to come. These companies are looking for places that want them. These companies are looking for places that will welcome them. And right now, we have a great reputation, especially on this side of the state. So even in giving us an increase of $25 million, changes the topic of conversation, puts Pennsylvania back at the forefront, and then returns another $100 million to the region's economy at a time we really need it. This one's a lot easier to get through than small games or cannabis or pick one. We're already making this work. These are people working, feeding their families. So just help us get more done. Give us another $25 million with a goal of getting to $300 million. That's our goal.
Anything you want to add before we wrap up for the day? I feel like I should say cut or something film related at the end of this. I'm not going to.
It's a wrap is what you would say.
It is a wrap?
Yeah.
See? This is why I'm in my job and you're in your job.
I don't make movies either.
I would say, my favorite thing to throw out when I'm talking to legislators, the demand for the job is there. I mean, we have a line out the door. My favorite thing to point out to people is we literally have more people in line to get in the union than we have in the union. And we could have every single one of them working tomorrow if the movies were here, and the movies are circling the airport right now trying to land. And when one goes away, another swoops in and takes it within, 24 hours sometimes. And so the demand for the job is there. And these are good paying jobs that are people that live here in Pennsylvania. We're not bringing tons of crew in from out of state. I mean, you'll see people coming in, but over the years we've developed department heads and designers and here that live in Pittsburgh, that this is their home. They're making huge wages doing these jobs and they're paying their taxes here. And why, in terms of like when you look at your personal finance, is it better long term to have a savings account where you're making a couple pennies a year, or is it better to invest and look at an investment manager and make your money work for you? And in this case, this is where Pennsylvania could make their money work for them and grow the money and do some of the other things that we really want to do, like fix our bridges or do whatever we need to do. It's smart. It's just smart finances. So, and we want to work. I want to stay here. I don't want to go anywhere else. I like it here.
Perfect.
But yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much, both of you, for joining us today. I hope that legislators who are listening and tuning in hear that message to us. But if not, we do a really good job of getting that information out to them.
CNG tells them anyway, so if they're not listening,
continue.
who cares?
Yes, we'll continue to do that. Thank you both. If anybody wants to learn more about the Pittsburgh Film Office, the website again is
pghfilm.org. We're on every social media channel. And check out Create PA too. That's our workforce training program. That's your entry level in. It's in partnership with IATSE Local 489. It's a one-of-a-kind program created only here in Southwestern PA, and it's working. So come join us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Mamie. And thank you for joining us for Insight and Influence.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Insight and Influence. To learn more about CNG strategies and to access previous editions, visit our website at cgstrategiespa.com.